controller. There's a microphone volume. You know, you don't need speakers.
sales leader, speaker, and content creator. During his time at 360i, he pioneered real-time social media marketing with his work on Oreo securing a first social media Guinness Book World Record and the famous Oreo Super Bowl blackout tweet. Leo's professional focus is now on how the intersection of different technologies can be leveraged to support both business and people. This led him to his position at global professional services company Accenture. Leo has secured millions of dollars in business from industry leaders such as Mondelez, Subway, and Estee Lauder. Today, Leo combines his marketing and sales knowledge to help people reach their full potential in both fields. Leo teaches at West Virginia University and Iowa State University, but we're happy to have him here. For this session, we encourage you to live tweet and use the hashtag UTSMW19, so UT Social Media Week condensed, and the 19 at the end. If you do this, we will enter you to win prizes like you've just seen. So definitely live tweet and continue to engage on social media as this is going on. But if you guys will, give him a warm welcome and welcome Leo.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out in the rain. But while you were saying that, I was thinking that maybe next time I should be in this box. You like roll it out. Can I just like pop out? Woo! No? Yeah? Yeah? All right, cool, whatever. All right, so let's talk about the festival, Fyre Festival. It can be explained by one freaking picture, okay? Tell me though, like, how in the world can that picture, can anything, really, anything, be described by that? Let's see it again. Like, this is what I looked at it, I started analyzing this. I'm like, did they not put it together? Like, could they not, like, just put that bread on top of that bread? Like, it would have been a little bit better, right? But anyway, I spent too much time looking at this photo. So, what the hell, right? Like, what the, like, what are you doing, okay? But, I mean, the festival is called the Fyre Festival, right? Did you miss it? Did anybody miss it? Did you miss it at all? Use the Y. Is that how you spell fire? I looked it up. Okay? When something goes up in flames, what is it called? Fire. There's no Y in there. That's from the dictionary. I wasn't sure. I don't know. Right? So if you spell like that, of course, things like this are going to happen. Crazy. Did everyone watch the documentaries? Watch both of them? No? You gotta watch both of them, because they give you different perspectives. You see, actually, we're talking. Of course, this. This makes an appearance a lot. And you guys, of course, can have some outside. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Ja. And yes, that Ja Rule. Does anybody actually remember Ja Rule? I grew up going to like dances listening to Ja Rule. Look at that head. It looks like a velociraptor, I think. But it's cool. Yes, this Ja Rule. He actually looked kind of endearing in this. Like, I like him. No? But, like, when Ja Rule's attached to anything, I'm like, that's a little suspicious, right? I guess models help. We got Kim and Kanye's sister. We got Bieb's wife. I actually said girlfriend, someone was like, that's his wife. Olivia. We got Emily Kawakowski. I'm going to pronounce it completely incorrectly. All right, we got fancy videos. I was hoping to get one of the videos with pigs in it. But like, watching this, I want to go there. Like, did anybody actually know about the Fyre Festival before it kind of blew up? You did? Did you want to go? Were you trying to like
yeah,
up?
It looked cool. Like I saw it on social media, like the promos and stuff for it, and it looked really cool. But I was like, no, I can't afford that.
Yeah. That's crazy. Yes. Yeah, don't roll. Again, this is just so funny to me to see Ja Rule, and especially, like I said, I went to dances where I'm like dancing to his music with Ashanti, Jennifer Lopez, right? Like, this is crazy, and now he's throwing some crazy festival. But here's the thing, I'm about forgiveness. 100%. And I am about second chances. We should give people second chances. But, for Billy, Vulture actually had 6 different stories as to why people should have known. What is this guy doing? His company before this, he conned people out of money. He is from Jersey, unfortunately, because I'm from Jersey and it makes Jersey people look bad. But he is just not a good person. And for Ja, this is his criminal history. And again, I'm about forgiveness and everything, but look at the kind of things he's done. Like, this isn't someone who's necessarily good at business, or truthful at business, or honest human being when it comes to business. He actually said this. So if you saw the Netflix special, he said, "It's not fraud, it's false advertisement." That's the difference. Like, he actually said that. You guys remember seeing that? Yeah? What'd you guys think when you saw it? It's crazy? Yeah. Again, just saying, that's suspicious. Very suspicious. Alright, I was very leery of it. But that's easy for me to say, right? Like, hindsight's 20/20. I could always say, of course everyone should have known that. But who's to blame? Can you blame ticket purchaser? You think you can? Like the people that wanted to go? Okay. No. Or me? Can you blame them? No. I've been to events, right? That's a real picture of me, by the way. But you think I ever checked to see who promoted it? No. Like, I grew up going to Warped Tour and all that kind of stuff, and never checked who promoted it. I just saw it was a cool event and I wanted to go to. So you can't blame them, right? Can you blame marketers? Yeah? You think you can blame the marketers behind it? Think so? Yeah? Yes, yes? I don't know. I've been fortunate, blessed, privileged, whatever you want to call it, to work on these brands. But if they made someone sick, is it my fault? Was I supposed to test out every Oreo cookie? Was I supposed to test out every gum? Was I supposed to test out every Bobby Brown makeup? No. Right? Can I be blamed for things like this? Or this finding mold in Capri Sun? No. Right. I couldn't be blamed for that. How would I have known that? You think we could blame the staff? Local staff? No. Definitely not. I think, if anything, they were the worsts, right? They were victims. They couldn't afford to lose, right? Not that anyone should be able to lose, but they really couldn't afford to lose. And they put in their hearts, their dreams, and everything. They were the biggest victims. I actually cried watching this. That's messed up. That's crazy. Forget about how they spell fire. This is sad. It's screwed up. Who else cried? Submit it. Yeah. You cried? No. You're like, get her, whatever. I didn't get to go.
Tear up, like we got a little stuff, you know.
Sure. But, thanks, assholes. Like, that's not cool. But, here's the thing, though. The internet stepped up. People stepped up. Do you know about this? So, they had a GoFundMe site, and they actually raised, last I checked, it was over $250,000, which was amazing. Like, good prevails. That makes me happy. All right, here's the thing, though. As a human, I was upset. Like I said, I cried. I was upset when I saw that. Me being a human first, and as marketers, business people, all that, we need to be humans first. That's where Ja and Billy were, right? But as a marketer, I was annoyed. Here's a better head that. I was annoyed. It sucks. Like, this is my life's work. You know, that awesome intro that was just given about Oreo and all that kind of stuff. Like, everything is awesome. Social media. It's what I love this because it's about humans. It's about connecting people. And influencer marketing. This is what I do for a living. And at the end of the day, I have people like my mom asking me, "This is what you do?" Before that, she just thought I did like online commercials. That's what I told her. Right? And she's like, this is what you do? Like, this isn't cool. And that annoyed me, right? And like, people are blaming influencer marketing in a way I feel like I'm being blamed. You're going to school for this. Like, you're blaming marketing tactics on what they did as bad people for being deceitful. I think that's just crap. That's not cool. And that's one of the reasons I'm here. Like, I want to make sure that people know that, and people online know that these were deceitful people using a tool, right? And the funny thing is, it wasn't even successful. All right, so on their pitch deck, so the deck they used to get investors and sell this, they said they were going to sell 40,000 tickets, right? They sold 8,000. So even Wired, a bunch of different magazines were saying, and online publications, saying, this was so successful, this is great, look, it improves social media marketing, right? It shows influencer marketing. Actually, they sucked at this too. They didn't even do a good job. They spent millions and millions of dollars, right? I think Kanye's sister and Kim's sister got paid, was it $250,000? And then everyone else got paid nothing less than $20,000 for a single post, all right? I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, if that's the reach they get and they have the right audience and you're a brand and you want to pay that and that's what they cost, that's fine. But from a social media perspective and from an influencer marketing perspective, the Fyre Festival, the Y, didn't do anything. So saying social media and influencer marketing is bad, it's like saying, it's like saying that the internet is bad. Who thinks the internet is bad here? Oh, you're like, sometimes, no, it can be bad, of course. But just like the Fyre Festival, there were bad people using the tool incorrectly. You're like, oh shit. Because of some bad apples. But look, memes. Who loves memes? Right? The internet gave us that. Who likes Netflix? Yeah? Wikipedia. Blackboard and chaos. Right? I mean, it's funny though, but without this, you know, actually I was studying online back in the day. It was just a message board. Like, that's how I actually interact with teachers and students and stuff. And I know, obviously, Blackboard and Canvas have like message board things, but this is awesome. Like, I have the ability to learn. When I teach, I get the ability to teach people across the world. I have people in the military, people all across the world. Teaching, that's fantastic. That's what the internet gave us. Right? Things like this, Ice Bucket Challenge. Anybody actually do this? Yeah? You over there? Anybody else who actually did it? Yeah? So much more, right? And again, this. Like, that's amazing. That's amazing. The internet did this. People did this. Even though there was something happening original that was terrible by bad people, you know, like, I think it's awesome that the internet exists. But again, it's the same kind of thing. How can you say influencer marketing, how can you say social media marketing is not good, right? Because a couple of bad apples. Overall, it is good. So, all that, they're tools, and I think they're wonderful tools. And the thing is, and the reason they're wonderful, and the reason that they work, is because they're nothing new at all. They're human interactions. So social media are just human interactions happening online. That's really what it is. So if you think about it, we always told stories. We always engaged with people. We sat around a fire. We talked to one another. That just happens online now. And from a marketer's perspective, actually you have insight into those conversations. So if you were 90, in the 90s, someone could be in a locker room saying, you know what, these sneakers suck. And the other person would be like, yeah, do they suck? I should never buy them. I should buy Adidas, right? Now, Nike just lost their customer. But now that's happening online. I'm like, yo, these suck. But Nike could jump in and be like, oh, sorry, what happened? Can I help you with that? Is that something we can correct for you? Tell us why. So these are just human interactions happening online. People always ask me, clients ask me, what should I say in response to this? Like, I have a magical answer. I have 0 magical answers. Like, how do you want to be responded back to? And they say, oh, X, Y, Z. I want someone to be compassionate, empathetic, etc. I'm like, you got it, I don't know why you need me. And that's what's happening, right? So it's supported by the internet. Like this little guy here. Looks like Zach Morris. You guys remember Zach Morris? Saved by the Bell. Right? So, why does it work so well today? Brand organic reach is down to 2%. So what this means, an organic reach, is when you post something on social media and it just goes out without you putting any paid media or boosting behind it, just putting it out. So back in the day, the whole Oreo thing that I was involved with actually couldn't happen today anymore because organic reach is so down. Before I could post and you'd get hundreds, thousands of likes. But Facebook has turned it down. Okay? Twitter has turned it down. There are actually, it was last year, they went to the EU and they picked three different countries. And from those 3 different countries, they said, we're going to completely turn off all organic reach. So if you're a brand, or anybody with a Facebook page, right, there's a difference between a Facebook page and a profile, then you can reach anyone. Now people tell me a lot of times in clients, like, that's completely unfair. I actually have a bit of a more pragmatic view about it. I don't think it's unfair. I mean, Facebook is a business. You gotta pay servers. You gotta pay their coders, right? Do I think it's necessarily fair the way that they did it? Like, here, free, everyone come build land, build this cool amusement park. Then all of a sudden there's a tax bill, right? Like, maybe that wasn't the coolest thing to do, and if you look at it, they're actually doing that on Instagram right now, where you can get a lot of organic reach, but it's gonna go down, right? So, influencer marketing, more important now than ever. Ad blocker. It's funny, I actually didn't do this on purpose, but when I took the screenshot, there should have been an ad there. This is not a joke. I didn't do this on purpose at all. I literally blocked it. And I'm in advertising and I black on it. Like, because they're annoying, right? They're not good. They're not always topical. I mean, it's changing now, but it's not entertaining. So I block them. Here's the thing. Google Chrome is going to have this built in. I know it has a part of it built in, but they're just going to crank it up. Some of the reason behind it, of course, I mean, they can just put ads themselves, so on and so on. But at the end of the day, getting through to people is becoming even harder. So therefore, people talking about brands, Nike, Oreo, Walmart, etc., Fyre Festival, it's actually better to do through influencer marketing. Right? Customer trust in brands is at an all-time low. People don't trust brands, right? Because traditionally, they used to just push things out there. Like, buy my product. My product is amazing. Buy my product. You need it. Right? They didn't do what's called like inbound marketing. Are you familiar with inbound marketing? So inbound marketing is when you're adding value to the consumer. So when people create blog posts, when they create instructional videos, things like that, that's all inbound marketing. Like, take all my information, take everything I know. I want to be your trusted advisor. I want to be the person that you work with. I want to be the person that you trust. And therefore, you will gain people's business. And it's the same thing even when you're tweeting or when you're doing anything. Like, when you're on LinkedIn, I see a lot of students, I see a lot of professionals my age, younger, older, whatever, like just posting like, I did this and this is cool. You want to follow those people? No, because they're not helping you. Right? Like, add value. Think about adding value. The givers in business will always be better than the takers, even if you're in sales. So, in the intro you heard I do sales as well. And I'll be the first person to walk into a room and be like, actually, you don't need our tool. All right? Will I make that sale? No. But I built a relationship with that person, and that person will come back in the future. That's inbound marketing, adding value. You can do that easily with influencers, and especially with SMEs, like subject matter experts. We could say that those models were subject matter experts in festivals, right? So using them has become more important, and it's not going to change. If Facebook decides to take that test that they did in the EU, of turning off organic reach completely, and do it across the world, what's going to happen next? Right? So, what can we learn? Besides being good, honest people, which at the end of the day is the most important thing. Right? Be transparent. I cannot stress this enough. On Oreo, we never actually, there was only one time we turned off comments. That's because we were attacked by a white supremacy group. And we're like, that's the only time we're going to cut off comments. If you don't like our product, say it. We want to know that information though too, because need to make it better. Even in sales, I always ask, tell me what you don't like. In an interview, if you go on an interview, ask this question, what don't you like about my background? That is an amazing question. That first of all, most people that are interviewing you are going to be impressed that you asked that question. Number two, now you know what you're fighting. Right? They might have thought, you know what, she's part of the ad club, but she doesn't have the X, Y, Z. But maybe you do. She doesn't put that on your resume or think to talk about it. But now if you know what that person's talking or thinking, you can fight it. Right? Same thing with brands. As Nike, I want to know what people hate about it. I want to know what they don't like so I can change it in the future. Don't hide. Don't lie. That's what the Fyre Festival did. Did you know, if you watch the documentaries, they went in, they shut off comments. They said, I'm going to delete all these. They actually told, I think they fired one of their agencies because they refused to do it. But good for that agency. Like they knew that their reputation is important. We're not going to do this. This is not how you do social media. Right? Again, I'm not saying that if there's hate speech and things like that, delete it. You want a safe environment for your brand, things like that. But if they're just saying things about your product, let it roll. Here's the thing though, even deleting on the internet, it doesn't go away. It's always being tracked. So there's the social media command center here, right? Have you guys been in the room? Used it, right? Radiant 6 is the company that they bought that does the social media listening that's now part of the social platform. I worked with them when they were in a garage in Canada. They've been tracking what everyone's been saying publicly since then. I used to work for a company called Sysmos. Everything publicly has been tracked. Even if you go to Google, you can actually click on where it says cached. And even if you deleted like a Medium post or a WordPress post, it's still going to be on there. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, we know everything they did. So deleting it doesn't help you. And don't lie, and especially in PR, get ahead of it. Tell the story. You know, in Mad Men, there's a classic quote that I'm going to butcher a tiny bit, and it's like, tell the story, right? Like, tell the story you want them to know. All right? People are going to say something, but you have the ability to tell that story. Does that make sense? Okay. Be serious. And what I mean by be serious is that I still work with a lot of marketers and a lot of companies out there that are treating social media marketing or influencer marketing as like ancillary tools. Or things that's cute, that's done over there, right? These are real business tools. You should be using social media and influencer marketing. Even if you're the hot dog stand in the corner, why wouldn't you, right? I'm gonna go online, I'm gonna say hot dogs, and if you don't have a website, you don't have a social media page, I'm not gonna find you, so I'm gonna go to the other hot dog stands. So even the hot dog stand should have a social media presence. These are real business tools. So one of the things when I'm asked like, hey, how do you build a social media strategy? I ask the business, what's your business strategy? What do you want to do? Do you want to sell more product? Do you want to go ahead and engage with more people, brand awareness? Do you want brand lift, right? So more people to be engaging with your brand, knowing who your brand is. And then those are my social media KPIs. So key performance indicators, right? That's what I say I'm going to do. And that's the only real way to measure it. Not by likes, not by followers, all that. It doesn't work. Those are novelty metrics. What do 1 million likes mean? It's not moving products. It's not building brand awareness. Or you're hitting the wrong audience. It doesn't matter one bit, right? So people tell me all the time, oh my gosh, we have 1 million followers. I'm like, cool. And then I ask, hey, what's your target demographic? And they'll say, let's say, people in the Midwest. And then you go to their Facebook page and it's completely different, right? Now there could be two different things there though. That could mean they have the wrong target market. Actually happened on Oreo. So on Oreo, we said we go after moms in the Midwest. But then we had about, at that time we checked 10 million followers or fans on Facebook. It was all college students. I'm like, we're wrong. Let's go after the college students. And that's when you started seeing a lot funnier, a lot better content targeted more towards college students. So we were able to learn that. Right? So how is this not a real business tool? I think it should be part of every single conversation. Same thing with influencer marketing. Real business tools. Use a marketing mix. Okay? So what I mean by that is also don't forget about radio. Don't forget about TV. Obviously, everything that we're doing is super freaking cool, but that stuff still works. Right? They might work not for one brand, it might work for another, but it's up to you as a marketer to understand and know if it will work or not. So one of the stories, selling Sysomos, and before that was Expion, I would compete with Salesforce, and I would compete with Buddy Media and Radiant 6, Adobe. You know how one of my competitors ended up beating me like all the time? In New York City, they bought the tops of all the taxis. So my mom knew who they were. Like, so every time I walk into a room, I was already at a disadvantage. But I've dealt with marketers. I've been to agencies where I've been talking to them, like, we don't do radio. And I'm like, what? And especially with the resurgence of audio, podcasts, so on and so on. But then it's also them thinking so narrowly. Like, maybe they don't use a car, but the rest of the United States uses a car. People that are trying to meet in the Midwest use a car, right? People in LA use cars. So think about how social media marketing, influencer marketing, radio, TV, et cetera, can be supportive and complementary. When I started, social media was always the second afterthought. So for Stride Gum, they'd make a Stride Gum commercial, and they'd be like, oh, Leo, you're the social media guy, can you do something? The commercial's posting tomorrow. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you want me to do, right? That still happens. You would think it doesn't. It happens much, 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 much less, right? There's a lot more, like Oreo is digitally driven, a lot of Coca-Cola is digitally driven, but it's still not a thing, like, that I see all the time, and I should see that all the time. Like, it should just be digital as well. Cool. Make sure it's aligned though too. Like, don't have one commercial that looks one way and then your digital media looks completely different. Make sure that they're aligned. Make sure that you're working together. These are things that the Fyre Festival didn't do. They spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. They could have afforded a radio ad. Right? Thankfully, maybe they didn't because it's all terrible, but they did. But you know, from like a marketing business perspective, they actually could have been better marketers if they would have done mix. Okay. So use all influencer personas. In many ways, and a lot of people I talked to and a lot of articles that I've looked at, they don't really say that the Fyre Festival did influencer marketing. They did celebrity endorsements, which sometimes are called mega influencers. They did have a second wave where they, I think it was like over 300 different influencers that they used. But it was mostly like the big, 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 big people. So we have our macro, we have our micro. So macro is someone who does this for a living, right? Not Truth Pug. Truth Pug is more like a micro influencer. She's not getting paid to do this, but eventually she wants to get paid to do this. I think I showed her at the beginning. That would have made no sense. Then you have employees, loyalists, and etc. So one of the amazing things when I worked at Accenture, like, oh, let's do social media. Let's go after people. Like, who should we tweet to? Who should we talk to? But Accenture has over 300,000 people in it. You think there are no influencers there? No, there are. Lots of influencers. And we're all influencers though. Like, my mom listens to me when I tell her about something, right? Or when she calls me about technology or how to fix something. We all have that person or that area of expertise in our lives. And truthfully, that is much bigger and much more powerful from a branding perspective than some of the macro and the mega influencers. Again, it's just coming from regular people. Now, the quality of the content may not be the best, but sometimes I think that's okay. Like, as I'm scrolling through my Instagram feed, sometimes I can just quickly tell this is an ad. And the ones that don't look like an ad, those are better. I can never over an ad. Right? Does that happen for you too? Can you actually, most of the time, probably call out an ad? See, I don't think that's good for the advertiser. I think that's a waste of money, it's a waste of time. The quality of the content doesn't need to be the best. But again, you need to focus on what your brand is, who you're trying to reach. That's really important when you're deciding that you want to use macro, micro, employees, or even loyalists. So loyalists, etc., these are people that may never post about your brand, right? Like, I pick on my mom again. So my mom is on social media. She likes a certain brand. She likes a specific car, but she'll never post about it. But there are ways, there are tools, mechanisms that you could use to actually engage with these people as well, to build ratings, reviews, and other things, right? And still be transparent. You should always be transparent that you're working with this. That's a mistake that the Fyre Festival people didn't do. Excuse me, that they did. They didn't use the full spectrum of social influence. Again, they shouldn't see this for next time. All right? Check the data. Making sure that you track what you do, track what the influencers are doing, and learn from that data. All right? Now with the FTC, you got to use that sponsored post. Excuse me, hashtag. You got to use the sponsored hashtag. All right? Like, make sure that your influencers are doing that. Because if they're not, you're going to get in trouble. They're going to get in trouble. The government has the same tools. I've sold Sysmos to different government agencies that are using these tools exactly for this. So even if you're the smallest influencer, you can still get in trouble. It's so easy. If you've been in that command center, you see how you just type in a hashtag and it just comes right up. So don't think just because you're a micro-influencer that you're not going to get in trouble. But learn from the data, learn from what's happening. Just like my Oreo story, right? You need to look at the graphics, who you're going after. Is this working? Is this not working? I still work with a lot of clients doing influencer marketing. I'm like, did it work? Like, I don't know. I'm like, that's not cool. Like, I'm worried for your job. Because when the CMO says, hey, what are we doing here? How come we're spending this amount of money? What's the ROI, the return on investment? Oh, we don't know? It's probably one of the first things to get rid of. Right? Teaching us the power. That's just a missed opportunity. And heck, you might get fired. Because they're going to say, look, TV, paid media, they're doing so much better. Okay? And also, when I say learn about your data, from your data, so confirmation bias is the idea that you're always looking to prove your own thoughts and your own facts. Okay? Like, I think influencer marketing works. I'm going to go ahead and only look for the data that shows that it works, right? Be open to other things. Influencer marketing doesn't work. So make sure that you're looking at other data and trust them, because sometimes the data doesn't lie. Okay? Just as long as you're looking at the right data. Most importantly, be human. I promise you, it leads to the best outcomes. There are lots of studies out there that show being a good person, being transparent, being human will get you to a lot of places. Thank you. So I cut it short though too because I want to make sure that I open it up. We can have an open discussion. Make sure you guys aren't falling asleep. I can put True Plug back up on there. But ask me questions. And when I'm in these settings or even with my my students, I say, ask me anything you want. Like, I'll tell you what it's like to write copy, to come up with a strategy, go into your boss, go into your client and be like, that's crap. I'm gonna cry. I'm not telling you, I love what I do and I continue to do it, right? But I'll tell you real stories about being in the trenches and all that stuff. So ask me anything. Sure.
But I love watching YouTube videos and all like TV and fashion.
Mhm.
And I think that, I mean, I don't know, like I watch that more than Netflix
Sure.
now.
Yeah.
So where do you think YouTube is going to kind of, do you think it's going to be one of the most powerful social media platforms? Or do you think that's going to
Sure. So it already is. One of the things that my marketing friends love to say is that YouTube is the second biggest search engine. That's where people look. And you see Google actually pops it up. So if you put like, I want to buy La Mer, right? It's an expensive kind of makeup. I know a lot about makeup. If you want to buy La Mer, you're going to see them pop up, you know, how to contour, how to go ahead and shade, and all that kind of stuff. Did I get it right? Right terms, right? You know what's funny? When I started working, I didn't know Bobby Brown was a real person. But does that answer your question? Like, it's really big. Here's the thing, though. Sometimes, from an influencer marketing perspective, when it comes to brands, they're not always going to YouTube because it's harder to create a video. It's so much easier for me to take a picture. So the money that the brands are putting in is going to be less.
Because like I also know now YouTube kind of YouTubers have a problem with being not unethical and like
Sure.
trustworthy because now like oh this video is sponsored by
Yeah.
it's seafood, you know,
Sure, sure.
and you can kind of
no one looks at those hashtags. Who actually reads hashtags here when you see a post? One person. All right, I do it because I'm a marketer, or maybe you actually do it. Maybe this bad audience that does it because you guys are marketers. But at the end of the day, like my mom doesn't know. She doesn't even know what a hashtag is. Like, you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter. But here's an important thing, and there's a conversation I was having earlier. It's up to the influencers. Like, they need to be organic. They need to be transparent. They need to make sure that they're following those rules that I set up there, so that their brand doesn't get diminished. And there's nothing more important than your own personal brand. I love Oreo, I love Coca-Cola, I love Strikeout, I love all the work that I've ever done, right? But the brand that I protect the most is the Leo brand, But like, those are the brands that I protect the most. And an influencer is running around wild, posting ads, being fake, not being real. Not only are they not going to get sponsors, who knows if they're going to get a job tomorrow. That's always going to be on there, forever. So when you're creating content, make sure to tell them, like, listen, this is a cool thing that I use. I see a lot of influencers that we work with, like, they will only use or promote products that they actually love. And I think that's important, right? And I think that's one of the mistakes that a lot of these models did too. They didn't know. They're like, all right, you're gonna give me $250,000, I'll do whatever. But back in the day, and especially with sports figures, they really wanna make sure that their sneakers, their bats, etc. I'm not into sports ball, so I don't know much about sports. So, like, they want to know that it's a product that's valuable. And if you're an influencer, even if you're a micro-influencer and you want to be sponsored like $20, I'm going to say, listen, let me go try out that product first. Or actually, I've used that product and I don't want to do it just for $20. Is that worth your brand, your business? So these influencers need to start looking at themselves as little businesses, or big businesses, companies, brands themselves. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So I don't think ultimately it's going to go down. They just have to do a better job.
What steps did Leo take to like shift their advertising from like Northwestern Hospital?
Got it. It was mostly in the creative. So when I say creative, it's the imagery, right? It's the messaging, it's the voice. So before it was always like, hey, come buy it, right? You could get a coupon code. Now it's just like, look how awesome we are. Let's do cool, amazing things, kind of like that inbound marketing idea that college students are going to enjoy. Right? So like the Guinness World Record was one. Like, what can we do? Kids love Guinness World Records, at least they used to. All right? Like, I don't know about now. Is that still like a cool thing? Yeah? All right. So it's that kind of stuff. And changing. And it didn't happen overnight. It took a while. Even the packaging, you see the packaging got different, got cooler. Like it's everything. Again, being complementary, supplementary across everything that they're doing. But there was some pushback. They're like, no, we've always done it this way. It's that confirmation bias, that selective thinking. So, we've always done it this way, it's always worked. And when people say that, I'm saying sure, maybe it always worked. It was good. Don't you want to be great? So why wouldn't you do this? Why wouldn't you try? And also, when it comes to the internet, Facebook pages, Twitter accounts also, like you could do A/B testing. So you could just try something out for a specific market. Especially when you're boosting posts, so putting paid media behind something. You could target exactly that person you want. You could say, I want a guy who lives in Denver, Colorado, who loves pugs and is into marketing. You legitimately could create that profile. And you'd be sending a market to me, an advertisement to me. So try it, test it out.
Well, what do you predict would be the future of like influencer advertising, or do you ever see advertising kind of going full circle, or hitting a bubble in terms of visual advertising, and eventually going back to like more traditional stuff? Or?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's always going to evolve. Remember I mentioned radio ads? Radio, audio, is the biggest it's ever been. Like we have fiction podcasts, we have true crime podcasts, etc. Like that's how it all started in the 30s. Like just theater online, and this is happening now, 100%. So it's going to change, but that doesn't mean that imagery and video is going to go down. I think it's just going to add to it. And the reason that audio is awesome and amazing is because it's passive. So what I mean by passive is that, like right now, you could have been listening to an audio podcast while I was talking, right? So you're doing two things at the same time. But if you're watching a YouTube video, oh no, right? And it's the same kind of thing. Like I have podcasts on all the time. I actually have it now to the point where I have a little app that reads articles to me. So when I'm writing emails or doing my social media, I'm listening to an article. Or vice versa, I'm reading an article, I'm listening to, how much am I ingesting, right? It's questionable. But, sorry?
What app is that?
I'll send it to you. I'll send it out, or I don't know if I can. Cool. We'll get it to you. We'll get it. It's a Chrome plugin. I actually don't remember what it's called, but it's free. It's amazing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it is. You talked about like going back to the festival. You mentioned them not taking advantage of different types of influencers and
Sure.
stuff. As a marketer, do you think there's anything they did well marketing, like, if anything?
Got it. I think the creative was fantastic. Like that video that they created, that looked really awesome. Even that whole idea where they said, let's post a picture across the board that had no meaning or no nothing to kind of create, like, what is that? That was awesome, right? Created an intrigue. And then the beautiful thing, it was storytelling. They knew how to tell a story. And that's what got exciting. And then by telling the story and showing it through visual, through influencers, it allowed you to be in it. So, I don't know if you know this, but real estate agents, when they sell houses, there are actually companies out there that go ahead and put furniture and stage a house. You don't want to see an empty house. Because if you haven't seen an empty house, I can't think about where my bed's going to go here, the spacing, all that kind of good stuff. And that's kind of what they did. They allowed to take you and the things that you love, and the things that event goers love, and we're able to put you in that experience. And the best marketers, the best storytellers, were able to do that through different pieces of media.
So what's your takeaway from the Fyre Festival? What's your lesson? Is it that there's something we need to do as a society to prevent more of these, or that we just all need to be more careful that these things are going to happen?
Sure, I think it's both. So definitely as consumers, we have access to the internet. You can do research, you can see who these people are. Go do it, right? Be an educated consumer, especially if you're going to spend a heck of a lot of money, right? Then the second part, yeah, the government should step in right now and say, tell people that this is an ad. Don't trick people. The same kind of way that, tobacco companies can't advertise to kids, right? Or even in certain countries, you can't have sugary cereals promoted during cartoon hours, like Australia is like that, right? So there should be guidelines. I don't know right now, truthfully myself, what those guidelines should and shouldn't be, what's the extent of reach or not. I think we have, as a society, as people, as marketers, as the government, we need to decide what those are and have those open conversations. So one of the things I love about the Fyre Festival is that now these conversations can be had. Right? I don't have the answers. I don't know. I could be wrong. So I want to have these conversations. And we as a society need to have these conversations. Before that, like I said, my mom didn't even know what influencer marketing was or what I did for a living. But now she does. That's good. I think there was a question back.
So you said Facebook and other social media sites.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. You said Facebook and other social media sites are limiting the amount of ads and things that we can see as consumers. Would it not be in their best interest to actually allow that, and then they can charge more money for it?
Got it. So the question is that Facebook and other social media websites are decreasing the amount of ads that they're seeing? No, because what happened is Oreo, Coca-Cola, all these bigger brands and even smaller brands have invested so much before into the organic reach, and the customers are there. Also, Facebook is legitimately the best advertising tool that ever existed, period. If we could go back in history, and I could tell almost anyone, a hot dog stand, I could tell anyone, saying, listen, I could create a profile of exactly who you want to reach and message them for pennies. I legitimately opened up Instagram or Facebook and said, like, let's reach Des Moines, Iowa. Like, all males in Des Moines, Iowa. It was like $20. That's nothing. So they know what they're doing, and it's amazing. Like, they have an amazing product. And the truth of the matter is, it is really inexpensive right now. So I think they're taking that calculated risk. Does it make sense? There you go. You can't talk about pain points.
I know that like for like our generation,
Yeah. Yeah, they should be. Did everyone hear? I'm sorry, I can repeat it. So the question was, Facebook pretty much is for your grandparents. Like, how's that gonna change Facebook advertising in general, like capture it, right? So, what was that? But now it's being used by like older people, right? Like my mom's on it now. So at the end of the day, that's always going to happen. Things are going to change. Facebook knows that. Right? That's one of the reasons they actually bought Instagram. That's why they have Instagram stories, which competed with who? Exactly. Right? They know that. They have WhatsApp. They're trying to change that. Another thing that I'm going to add just to that is that a big problem with marketers nowadays is when they say social media, they just mean Facebook, they mean Twitter, the other popular channels. It's not true. There's Reddit. You guys know what Slack is? Right? Slack is like a collaboration tool for internal people, but there are marketing communities out there. There are motorcycle communities out there. You could be on those channels. So social media is not Facebook. It's not Instagram. It's not Snapchat. It will always be around. How it will be around, that's completely different. And obviously Facebook is really powerful now, and all these other companies. But if you look out throughout history, all these big companies that were like massive players that you thought were never, ever, ever going to change, have changed. So I see Facebook going like any other company. Hopefully, we'll make better decisions. Does that answer your question?
So this one is kind of a weird question, but
I like this.
as you're approaching people to do influencer marketing for you,
The
how do
influencers
you-
themselves?
Yes. How do you pick those people? Because if you're maybe contacting them on the West Coast and you live in New York City,
Sure.
and there are people that I know that we see people all the time on campus that maybe they're an influencer, but whenever you see them on campus, they sure don't look like an influencer.
Sure, sure.
They look very different from their pictures. So how do you go about, choosing the right people that follow up and live the life that they're trying to show off?
Sure. So now definitely you want to use tools for that. Like Maverick is a tool that I use, social media influencer marketing tool. So similar to Hootsuite or Salesforce, these tools exist now. You don't have to use Google Docs, you don't have to go search Instagram on hashtags to find these. You could actually use different tools. Now, the answer to your question is in the data. Just because you have an influencer that lives here in Tennessee doesn't mean their audience is here in Tennessee. So a lot of these tools allow you to authenticate them and actually see their insights. And that's how you make those decisions. Accompanied with the aesthetics. Obviously, because if you want them to create content, you want them to go ahead and create ratings and reviews. So it's finding that balance. And truthfully, traditionally now, and when I say traditionally, influencer marketing has been around for what? 2 years? All right? The first few campaigns actually don't do well. You gotta learn. That's just like in the early days of social media. We didn't know what we were doing. Like, yeah, let's open up a Twitter account. Let's open up a Snapchat account. We didn't know what we were doing. So you gotta be experimental and willing to wait, play the long game. That's the number one problem I see, truthfully, across everything. This is what Amazon does really well. Amazon plays the long game. Like, we're gonna invest in this business. We're gonna lose money for the next 4 or 5 years because we know that this is the future. A lot of times marketers say, we're gonna try this. Didn't work? All right, 2 months later, we don't have 1 million followers. Let's get rid of it. That's a problem. Does that answer your question?
You spoke to influencers having to protect their brand and safeguard it. What happens to influencers who were the Fyre Festival?
So I think we got to think about that. I was calling them, obviously they're influencers. They're more celebrities, right? So they could kind of weather the storm a bit. And some of the others, because they didn't just use the celebrities, there wasn't a second wave, but they went over, I think it was like 300 people or 300,000 people they went after. All right, sometimes people just delete the posts for a bit. Yeah, so it doesn't impact you. And like I said, obviously it is on, I'm kind of contradicting what I said earlier, but when you're that level, you could actually delete something. No one's going to look it up. And if they do, I think weather the storm, if, as I was saying before, you're organic, truthful, and you're transparent. You could come out and say, listen, I made a mistake. I should have done my due diligence. And then hopefully people will forgive you. They should. As long as you're trying to do better.
What words of wisdom do you have for students that are about to enter the workforce in?
Got it. All right. So have passion projects. Like TruthPug, I joke around that she's a micro-influencer, but I actually test out a lot of things. Like I do paid media there, I create content, all of that. So have a passion project and have something you can show. But here, it's not only that. Make sure that you're doing something and recording it and reporting on it. So you want to make it quantifiable. What I mean by that is TruthPug launched May 1st, and by June she had a 200% increase in followers. That's what I want to hear when I'm hiring someone. Not just like, oh, brand awareness increased, likes increased. But how much? What did you do to get there? So make sure that you quantify your actions and what you do. And it could be anything. It could be a pug, it could be photography, cars. Do that. And the reason I say to do that too is because then it'll be fun for you. You'll want to do that instead of just like some random news. Cool. Have a case studies. So one of the things I did when I get my job at 360i was I actually brought in a book. So traditionally, mostly creatives bring in books of what they've done or copywriters. I actually had a book, social media, and I presented it and I handed it out. And I'm like, all right, this is what I've done. And my Sarah Hofstetter, who's the CEO, still talked about it years later. She's like, he had a book and everything he's making here is going to be in his next book. Are we good on time?
Yeah. Sorry.
No, please.
Yeah, I was just curious, like, for the younger generation, do the macro influencers resonate more with the older crowd? And then,
Got
because
it.
they seem to, like, really reject those that are popular, and, like, that's why I think Facebook, once old people start going on that, they just...
Yeah. Well, I think really people aren't thinking about it that way all the time. Right? The more popular you are, I think right now the research has shown that they're not thinking about it. Like, that person is popular, but if I have good affinity, good relationship, I look at that person and that person's like me, showing things that I like that they're showing, don't really care how many followers. Like, at the end of the day, if someone's showing you how to contour your makeup and all that, do you really care how many followers they have as long as they're giving you what you come for? Right? So I think it's always back into the content.
So
Because
it's not
they're not
just-
platforms themselves.
Okay, so there's no necessarily a hierarchy, like a macro influencer is great for this older generation, and then
No.
this age group is better with this.
It's all
okay,
respected
all
to the
over.
person. Yeah, because even if we think about them as businesses or their own platforms, right? I may go to Facebook for the old people, right, as everyone's saying here, and then I might go to Snapchat or something else for the younger generation. So each and every, and that's what makes it difficult too for brands, and that's why sometimes the first campaign or the second campaign doesn't do as well because you kind of have to go through that environment. Yeah. But looking at the data is also important. Like, are these people getting the reach? How much fraud is there? So there are things called like comment pods that I joined for truth without even knowing. Like, you just go on there and like, oh, if I comment on your post, you comment on my post. Right? If you like this, I'll like that. It doesn't work out because those are inauthentic. Those aren't the people that we want to reach. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
How do you see emergent technologies like VR, AR, all of those coming out, changing how we're storytelling and changing the way that we're using
Yeah.
social media?
I think it's only going to help with storytelling, brand immersion, brand lift, affinity to the love that you have for a brand, because it's going to hit all the senses. Audio, video, eventually. I know there are like tactical feedback gloves and things like that. Like, imagine you could like, they have these for cars. You could like see a car. You could like open the door, look inside the car. It's only going to get better. Even on VR, they have social networks on VR. They've had festivals on VR. Hopefully the Fyre Festival doesn't want to be on VR. All right? But they have stand-up comedians on VR. I think it's amazing. But we can't forget the other part of things like experiential marketing. Or like when you walk into a supermarket seeing an Oreo cookie, right? Humans are still going to look for that human interaction and that feeling. It's going to be hard to get in it from VR. We'll get better and better, but at the end of the day, you still want to be complimentary and supplementary. Any question here? What record? I mean, it's amazing. I think it's what they're doing and what they've done. And they said like the Fuck Jerry people were behind it. The Fuck Jerry people, sorry, that's their name. Like, those are some of the people that were also behind the Netflix special, and they were doing the Fyre Festival. They said they were behind it. I think it's fantastic. They got attention. They're doing something creative, storytelling. Yep. Where do you start in advertising? Oh, where did I start in advertising? At a company called JWT, J. Walter Thompson. So they were considered the oldest ad agency in the United States. For the longest time, they were the biggest ad agency in the United States, third biggest in the world, owned by a company called WPP. that owns a lot of other companies like BML. There's like the Wendy's Twitter account out of Kansas City, so on and so on. And the funny thing is, when I went there, I got the ad on Craigslist. That's where I went on Craigslist, and I applied to an ad, and I had that haircut that you saw. I'm not joking. I walked in, I didn't do my research, I didn't have a case study, right? I just walked in like, doo-doo-doo. Like, and I'm in New York City, like, wow, I'm not getting a job here. And luckily, I got hired, and I got hired because I was running MySpace pages for bands. And they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. This is what you're doing? And they gave me an opportunity, and then after that, I was working on Sunsilk. It was like blondes versus brunettes. That wouldn't work so much right now. But back in the day, it was like a web platform for blondes and a platform for brunettes, and they'd like argue which one was better based on the hair color, and then striped gum. And like I said earlier on, I think it was just a complete afterthought. No one was thinking about it. It was like JLB2 was like, we make commercials. We're doing this little thing, but that's over here. I looked up Craigslist. Don't do that now. Yeah, but back in the day, network, go to events, meet people. After this, tweet at me. Find me on LinkedIn. Ask me a question. Do that with other people. Add value. Add content. Create content. LinkedIn now has stories, right? For better or worse. But create content. Stand out. Work with people. The most important thing, though, is add value and have your own point of view. So having your own point of view, whether it's right or wrong, is the most important thing. That's what my first boss told me. It's like, have any idea you want, but prove it. Be passionate about it. And your reasoning behind it. That's what you need to think about when you're creating content. Not like, I retweeted Leo, I agree with him. This is cool, I'm just retweeting. Like, no, I disagree with Leo, and this is why. Or I agree with Leo, and this is why. That's adding value. And no, go to events. I bet you there's a social media club here, right? What was that? Ad club. But there's probably a social media club, like there's something called the social media club that exists around the world too. Join it. There are student discounts. Join groups. There are groups online. There are Slack groups online you can find. Network. It doesn't matter. One of the reasons I actually started creating a lot more content was because I went from living in New York, New Jersey, where I'm from, to living in Des Moines, Iowa. Lived in Des Moines, Iowa for 2 years. And I'm like, actually, what am I going to do to stay relevant? What am I going to do to get clients that I used to in New York? I just started creating content. And I say that to everyone who's creating content. Have a point of view. If you're just retweeting, being an echo chamber, it's not.
So you said you worked at JWT.
Mhm.
One of their future 100 trends for this year is digital influencers.
Okay.
So they're not real people, they're just like created.
Sure.
and
Like avatars?
Yeah, they're avatars and they're put into
Yeah.
advertisements like wearing products, like Versace and stuff
Sure.
like that. How do you think that those types of like creations are going to like affect future like marketing?
Sure. I mean, you look at it from a business perspective, right? Like, if I put all my money behind Michael Jordan, right, whatever happens to Michael Jordan, it's a bad thing for me. Like, if he's drunk driving or something, like, that could impact my brand. A digital avatar can't do that, right? From a brand perspective, from a marketing perspective, too, like, giving, like, Flo from Progressive all the power, now she can demand more money next time. Like, I'm really popular, right? So, from a brand perspective, I lean a little bit more towards having that avatar. And that's no different. Like, you know, the Michelin Man. How's that any different than kind of what you just explained? So I think it's just going to be different iterations of what's happened in the
Do you
past.
think that we'll see like a rise in those types of
Yeah.
influencers?
Yeah, and the reason behind that is AI. So because of artificial intelligence, it's only going to get better, better, better at mimicking humans, making sure that they're building the content that you want to see, and also sharing that content at the right times, the right locations. So yeah, it's interesting. I'd still think that at the end of the day, and especially at least for the next like 20, 30, 50 years, like it's not going to be the highest thing. People still want to work with humans at the end of the day, and you're going to respect that. And if you find out that was an avatar, it's going to, like, it feels weird.
Yeah,
Right?
I've been keeping up. Like I just learned about this, and there's an Instagram account
Yeah.
called Lil Michaela.
Okay.
And
Actually, I don't know about her.
I went onto her account to look at it, and it's like she looks so real.
Is it like a little girl?
No, she's like a 19-year-old.
Okay.
19-year-old. But it's like she looks so real in some
Sure.
of the like, video or the pictures that they post on her account, and then you like look closer and you can tell that it's digital.
Yeah.
And
That made you
just
feel
kinda,
weird?
like throws you off
Yeah.
a little bit.
There's something called like Uncanny Valley, where it's like, you know about it? Yeah. So when actually like a robot starts looking too human, like we're like, get away from us, like just creepy. I think that's happening. So AI is not going to get that good for a while. But when we can't tell the difference, that's what's scary.
So let's thank Leo. And just a few other people before we send you back out. There's no longer white bread and cheese. There's a full spread from Salsaritas awaiting you. So, yes, but just really, really quickly, there's some really important people in this room that we need to thank. The Petersons right here in Ari. Those true BFLs, ladies and gentlemen. They have generously funded pretty much the entire week for us, and we cannot be more blessed to call you alums and have you as part of the program. They came to every session.
Oh, wow.
I know. Thank you for being here, and hopefully you'll come back. Lauren Ziegler's in the back, and she has been so John and Ann have stayed past their prime today, right? And they've been in charge of all of the coverage that you've seen on YouTube. All the sessions have been recorded in our archives, so we'll see those later. Catherine Luther's here. Jim? No. So it takes a lot of work to put all this on, and we are very blessed to have a great support system in the college to make all this happen. So thank you to everybody. Leo will probably graciously come
of course.
outside and chat. But
Yeah.
Can I also say thank you to Dr. Childers?
But there is tons of food, and it's probably better than when you walked in. So go help yourself. Thank you for coming.